From a very young age, we are handed a specific script: go to school, get good grades, and land a safe, secure job. You wake up, clock in, collect a paycheck, and repeat. But for millions of highly educated professionals, following that script perfectly doesn't lead to financial freedom. It leads to the rat race, a relentless cycle where earning a higher salary simply means spending more, leaving you stuck in the exact same place. This happens because of a massive blind spot in our system. You can spend 2 decades in classrooms learning advanced calculus and world history, yet receive absolutely zero instruction on how money actually works. Author Robert Kiyosaki recognized this gap by observing 2 distinct father figures in his life. His biological, poor dad was highly educated but constantly struggled with money. His mentor, his rich dad, never finished middle school but built an empire of wealth. Working harder within the middle-class system will never get you out of the trap. Escaping requires unlearning the default script and mastering 6 counterintuitive rules practiced by the wealthy. Lesson 1 flips the employment model on its head. The rich do not work for money. While the middle class trades their limited hours for a flat paycheck, the wealthy focus entirely on acquiring systems and assets that generate cash independently of their time. But you cannot acquire those systems without Lesson 2, which is basic financial literacy. The foundation of this literacy requires understanding the functional difference between an asset and a liability. Take a look at this balance sheet diagram. An asset, in the green column, puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out. People confuse the two, believing their residence is an asset. With a mortgage, it slides straight into the liability column. Financial freedom doesn't start when you negotiate a 5% raise. It begins the moment you learn to accurately identify true assets and violently defend a growing column of true assets. That brings us to Lesson 3, mind your own business. Having a job means you are minding someone else's business and making them wealthy. To build your own wealth, your primary energy must go toward building your personal asset column. Lesson 4 introduces the legal machinery the wealthy use to shield assets from massive tax burdens. This chart illustrates divergent tax rules. Individuals earn, pay taxes, and survive on the remainder. Corporations operate in reverse. They earn, spend on expenses, and are taxed on what's left. They reinvest pre-tax capital, rapidly compounding wealth before the government takes a cut. True financial literacy involves understanding these mechanics. It is the ability to leverage legal corporate structures to insulate your money from systemic erosion. Now we reach Lesson 5. The rich invent money. You cannot save to millions from wages. True wealth generation means scanning the market, identifying unseen opportunities, and assembling the pieces into a profitable system that didn't exist yesterday. To do that effectively, you need Lesson 6. Work to learn, not to work for money. The middle class values specialization and job security above all else. The wealthy pursue strategic knowledge. This means intentionally taking temporary roles to master distinct, highly leverageable skills. You take a job in sales to conquer the fear of rejection, or a role in marketing to understand consumer psychology, and then you move on. Achieving the momentum of the wealthy requires viewing your career not as a permanent shelter, but as a laboratory for relentless, targeted skill acquisition. When you pull all these lessons together, the ultimate takeaway becomes clear. Achieving financial independence is a completely different discipline than earning a high W-2 salary. But even with the technical playbook in hand, most people never execute it. The primary obstacle isn't a lack of capital. It is the deeply ingrained psychological barriers forged by a lifetime of traditional upbringing. The specific forces of fear, cynicism, and laziness actively sabotage basic financial logic. People are so terrified of losing money or failing outside the norm that they retreat, trapping themselves in the false, suffocating comfort of the rat race. Breaking out requires an unconventional, can-do entrepreneurial attitude. You have to consciously rewrite your relationship with risk and opportunity, and actively choose to take the road less traveled. Escaping the rat race is ultimately an intellectual and psychological triumph. It demands that you abandon the comfort of the middle-class script, stop trading your time for pennies,
and start seeing the world entirely as a game of assets, literacy, and leverage.